Welcome back to the channel Valuable Coins HD, your #1 destination for discovering the hidden fortunes hiding in everyday pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most iconic coins in American history, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1957. Don't be fooled by its humble appearance, because this tiny copper coin might just be worth far more than you could ever imagine. So grab your magnifying glass and stay with us till the very end, because we're going to uncover everything you need to know about this legendary coin, its history, design, errors, rarity, and most importantly, how much money it could actually bring you today. Let's travel back in time to the late 1950s, a period of post-war prosperity, classic cars, rock and roll, and booming American pride. The year was 1957, and the United States Mint was still producing the beloved Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that had already become a cherished symbol of America. This coin had been in production since 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent, and it quickly became one of the most recognized and collected coins in American history. By 1957, the Wheat Penny had already been circulating for nearly half a century. Millions of Americans used it daily, in grocery stores, gas stations, and candy shops, never realizing that these little copper coins would one day become treasured collector's items. What makes the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny special isn't just its age, it's the fascinating details, mint variations, and conditions that can transform a simple penny into a small fortune. The 1957 Wheat Penny was struck in two different locations: the Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without a mint mark, and the Denver Mint, identified by a small D under the date. Both versions are made primarily of copper, precisely 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Each coin weighs about 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. But what really makes these coins shine is their design, a perfect blend of artistry and symbolism. On the front side of the coin, known as the obverse, we see the powerful image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's portrait is timeless, serious, dignified, and filled with quiet strength. Above his head, the words, "In God We Trust," remind us of the nation's faith. To the left, the word "Liberty" symbolizes the very foundation of America, and to the right, the date, 1957, proudly marks the coin's birth year. Beneath the date, on some versions, you'll find the tiny letter D representing the Denver Mint, while others from Philadelphia have no mint mark at all. Now, turn the coin over, and you'll see one of the most beloved designs in American numismatic history, the reverse side featuring two beautiful wheat stalks curving along the edges. This elegant design gives the coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny. Between the wheat stalks are the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, both bold and simple, standing as a tribute to the nation's agricultural roots. Above, the phrase, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, highlights the unity that defines America. What truly makes the 1957 Wheat Penny fascinating for collectors is the story each coin tells through its condition, minting details, and history. Because these coins were made mostly from copper, they are prone to oxidation, which causes them to turn a dark reddish brown or even green over time. However, if you find one that has been well preserved, still showing that original fiery red luster, you could be looking at something much more than a simple penny. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale ranging from poor to mint state, or MS, followed by a number up to 70. The closer the coin is to perfect condition, the higher its value. A 1957 Wheat Penny that has been in circulation might only be worth a few cents, but one that's uncirculated, bright, glossy, and flawless, could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on its grade and appeal to collectors. But wait, there's more. Some 1957 Wheat Pennies are worth much more because of minting errors or unusual variations. During the minting process, even the smallest mistake can create a unique coin that collectors will pay top dollar for. Some of the most valuable 1957 Wheat Penny errors include double-die obverse coins, where Lincoln's image or the lettering appears doubled, giving the coin a shadowed or blurry look. Others have off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, or repunched mint marks, all rare and exciting finds that can dramatically increase the value. A famous example is the 1957 VDB Wheat Penny with a strong double die. If you look closely at the date or the word Liberty and see signs of doubling, you could be holding a piece worth far more than face value. Collectors adore these rare variations because they are one of a kind. No two are exactly alike. Another factor that affects the coin's worth is its color and surface condition. Lincoln wheat pennies are often categorized by their color: red, red-brown, or brown. The redder the coin, the more valuable it tends to be. This is because red coins have retained their original mint luster, untouched by air or human handling. A 1957 red wheat penny in mint state condition can fetch significantly higher prices at auctions compared to brown or circulated examples. Let's not forget about proof coins, which are specially struck for collectors with highly polished dies and planchets, resulting in mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. Although regular proofs for the 1957 penny weren't produced at the main mints, some exceptional specimens and special strikes exist and are incredibly valuable today. Over the years, the 1957 wheat penny has become more than just a collector's favorite, it's a nostalgic symbol of America's past. It represents the final era of the wheat design before it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. Because of that, collectors often see the 1957 penny as one of the last of its kind, which gives it an emotional and historical value beyond its monetary worth. Every collector dreams of finding that perfect 1957 wheat penny, one that has survived the decades without a scratch, with full detail on Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat, and bold, crisp lettering on both sides. These are the coins that stand out in coin shows, auctions, and private collections, often commanding stunning prices from dedicated numismatists who know their true value. So, if you ever stumble upon an old jar of coins, a dusty drawer, or a forgotten piggy bank, make sure to look closely. Check the date, examine the condition, and don't overlook those small mint marks or unique imperfections. What may seem like an ordinary penny could actually be a rare and valuable piece of American history. And now comes the moment you've been waiting for, the part that truly gets every collector's heart racing. If you have a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, or one with a rare double die or mint error, its value could soar to an astonishing $20,000. Yes, you heard that right, $20,000 for a single copper penny that once jingled in someone's pocket decades ago. Imagine turning that 1 cent into a life-changing discovery. So, the next time you come across a 1957 wheat penny, don't just pass it off as spare change. Take a closer look. You might be holding a small piece of history worth more than gold. Today, we're going way back in time to one of the most intriguing eras in American history, the year 1942. And at the heart of our story is a small but mighty coin, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from 1942. This coin may be tiny, but its story is massive. So grab your coffee, settle in, and stay with me until the very end, because the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny might just be worth more than you ever imagined. Let's turn back the pages of history to 1942, a year that changed the world. America was deep in World War II, and the country was transforming at an incredible pace. Factories were turning out tanks, ships, and aircraft instead of consumer goods. Metal was precious, copper was being rationed for the war effort, and even the smallest coin had to be produced with care and precision. Amidst all this, the U.S. Mint continued producing the famous Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that had already been beloved by Americans for more than 3 decades. The 1942 Lincoln wheat penny carried not only the face of Abraham Lincoln but also the spirit of a nation enduring one of the toughest times in its history. It was a symbol of strength, unity, and perseverance, qualities that defined the American people during the war years. Millions of these coins passed through the hands of soldiers, factory workers, and families across the country. They bought candy bars, newspapers, and postage stamps, small tokens of normal life during an extraordinary time. Now let's take a closer look at the design that made this coin so iconic. On the front side, the obverse, we have the timeless portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's face, with his calm and wise expression, reminds every American of honesty, leadership, and sacrifice. Above his head are the powerful words, "In God We Trust," a reflection of the faith that carried the nation through hardship. To his left, the word "Liberty" stands boldly, and to the right, the date, 1942, marks the year this historic penny was struck. Just below the date, on certain coins, you might see a small D or S mint mark, indicating that it was produced at the Denver or San Francisco mints. Those without a mint mark were made at the Philadelphia Mint. Turn the coin over, and you'll see one of the most beautiful designs in American coinage history, the reverse side featuring two wheat stalks curving gracefully around the words, 1 cent. These wheat ears symbolize prosperity and the country's agricultural roots. In the center, we see United States of America, a reminder of national unity, and above it, the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. Together, these elements create a design that has stood the test of time and still captures the imagination of collectors around the world. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1942 wheat penny truly fascinating to collectors today. At first glance, it may seem like just another old copper coin, but not all 1942 pennies are created equal. Some are common, but others are incredibly rare, and a few can sell for jaw-dropping amounts of money. The majority of 1942 wheat pennies were struck in bronze, made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams. However, what makes this year particularly interesting is that it came just before a major transition in U.S. coinage. In 1943, because of wartime copper shortages, the U.S. Mint switched to zinc-coated steel pennies, which became famously known as steel cents. But before that change happened, the 1942 pennies represented the last full year of the classic bronze composition, making them a favorite among collectors who cherish pre-war and early war-era coins. Collectors also pay close attention to the mint marks and variations between coins. The 1942 D from Denver and the 1942 S from San Francisco were struck in smaller quantities compared to Philadelphia's massive output, which makes them more desirable in high grades. A coin from Denver or San Francisco that has been preserved in uncirculated, original condition can be significantly more valuable than one that saw years of circulation. Now, let's explore the magical world of errors and varieties, the real treasure zone for coin enthusiasts. The 1942 wheat penny has several known minting errors that can dramatically increase its worth. One of the most famous is the double die error, where parts of the lettering or date appear double due to a misalignment during the minting process. If you look closely at words like Liberty or the numbers in 1942 and notice any doubling, you might have a highly valuable coin in your hand. Other rare errors include off-center strikes, die cracks, and repunched mint marks, known as RPMs. For example, some 1942 D coins show evidence of the D mint mark being punched twice, creating a visible doubling effect under magnification. These kinds of details can elevate the coin's value from a few dollars to hundreds or even thousands, depending on rarity and condition. Then there's the holy grail of 1942 wheat pennies, the transitional error coins. These are extremely rare specimens that were mistakenly struck on planchets intended for other years or compositions, such as a bronze planchet struck in 1943 or an experimental alloy. These are the types of coins that make collectors' hearts race because they're genuine minting mistakes that slipped into circulation unnoticed, until a sharp-eyed collector discovers them decades later. The condition of the coin plays the biggest role in determining its value. Collectors use the Sheldon grading scale to assess the quality of a coin, with grades ranging from poor, P1, to perfect mint state, MS70. A heavily worn 1942 wheat penny might only be worth a few cents, but a pristine uncirculated one with full red luster, known as an MS67 red or higher, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The difference between a common penny and a valuable one often comes down to just how well it has been preserved over time. Another interesting fact is that the 1942 wheat penny is often collected as part of a complete Lincoln cent set, which includes every year and mint mark from 1909 to 1958. Because 1942 sits right in the middle of this historic series, it's an essential piece for any serious collector who wants to complete the classic Lincoln wheat collection. What makes this coin so captivating is how it connects us to the past. Each 1942 penny is a small relic of American resilience during wartime, a time when every cent mattered and the future of the world hung in the balance. To hold one of these coins in your hand is to hold a piece of history, a reminder of sacrifice, courage, and unity. So if you've got an old jar of pennies lying around, or maybe some coins that your grandparents saved, take a moment to sift through them carefully. Check for the date, look for the mint mark, and pay attention to any unusual details or doubling on the letters. You never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. Now comes the most exciting part, the reason collectors and treasure hunters everywhere get that spark in their eyes. Are you ready for it? If you happen to have a 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny in pristine uncirculated condition, or one with a rare minting error or doubling feature, its value could climb to an incredible $35,000. Yes, you heard that right, $35,000 for a single 1942 Wheat Penny. Imagine finding that kind of fortune in an old coin jar or a forgotten album passed down from your grandparents. It's not just a penny anymore, it's a piece of history worth real money. So don't overlook those old coins you find lying around. What looks ordinary today could be a treasure tomorrow. Keep your eyes open, your magnifying glass handy, and your curiosity alive. Today's episode is going to blow your mind because we're diving deep into one of the most legendary and talked about pennies in American history, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from 1944. This coin is not just old, it's iconic. It carries stories of war, change, and the resilience of a nation. And guess what? Some of these little copper coins could be worth an unbelievable fortune. So stay tuned until the end, because you won't believe just how much money a rare 1944 wheat penny can fetch today. Let's start by traveling back to the year 1944, a time when the entire world was engulfed in World War II. The United States was fully committed to the war effort. Every piece of metal, every ounce of copper, and every resource was directed toward building planes, ships, and ammunition. Even something as small as a penny played a role in the war's economy. During the previous year, 1943, the U.S. Mint made a historic decision, to switch the penny's composition from copper to zinc-coated steel. This was done to conserve copper for military use. Those 1943 steel pennies became famous for their silvery look, but they also caused confusion. People mistook them for dimes, and they rusted easily. So, in 1944, the Mint made another big change. They returned to making pennies from copper, but not the same copper as before. Instead, they used recycled brass shell casings collected from military training grounds. That's right, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny was literally made from the remnants of war, melted down from the shell casings of bullets and artillery. That alone makes this coin one of the most historically significant pieces of American coinage ever produced. It wasn't just money, it was a symbol of victory, recovery, and the American spirit. Now let's take a closer look at the beauty of the coin itself. The design of the 1944 Wheat Penny continued the classic artistry that had been introduced decades earlier in 1909 by the sculptor Victor David Brenner. On the obverse side, you'll see the enduring portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, one of America's greatest leaders and the symbol of unity and freedom. Above his head, the motto, "In God We Trust," reminds us of faith and perseverance. To the left, the word liberty represents the ideals the country was fighting to protect, and to the right, the date, 1944, proudly marks the year of its creation. Beneath the date, you might spot a tiny mint mark, either a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or no mint mark at all for coin struck in Philadelphia. On the reverse side, we see one of the most beloved and nostalgic designs in American coin history. Two elegant wheat stalks curving along the edges, surrounding the words, 1 cent and United States of America. This is why the coin is lovingly called the Wheat Penny. Above the lettering, the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, stands as a timeless reminder of national unity. The simplicity of the design, paired with its symbolism, makes it one of the most collectible and recognizable coins in the world. But what makes the 1944 Wheat Penny so fascinating to collectors is not just its story, it's the incredible range of varieties, errors, and minting anomalies that can turn an ordinary penny into a small fortune. Let's break that down. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck at 3 U.S. mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Together, they produced over 1 billion coins, so yes, this penny is common in lower grades. You might even have one sitting in your coin jar right now. However, not all 1944 pennies are created equal. Some rare versions, especially those with minting errors, are among the most valuable coins ever discovered. One of the most famous and extraordinary examples is the 1944 steel penny. Remember how we said that in 1943 pennies were made of steel? Well, in 1944, when the mint switched back to copper, a few leftover steel blanks accidentally got mixed into the production line. The result? A small number of 1944 pennies were struck on steel planchets instead of copper. These ultra-rare error coins are magnetic, have a silvery appearance, and are worth a staggering amount of money to collectors. They are considered one of the holy grails of U.S. coin collecting. There are also other fascinating varieties, such as the 1944 D/S mint mark error, where a coin struck in Denver shows traces of an S underneath the D. This happened because the mint reused dies from the San Francisco Mint, creating a striking overlap that collectors absolutely love. Coins with repunched mint marks, double dies, or off-center strikes are also highly prized. Every imperfection adds uniqueness and potential value. Now, let's talk about condition, the key factor that can make or break a coin's value. Like all collectible coins, the 1944 Wheat Penny's worth is determined by its condition, color, and rarity. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers representing better preservation. Most 1944 pennies found in circulation today show heavy wear, scratches, or discoloration, which keeps their value modest. But coins that remain in uncirculated, mint-state condition, with original red luster shining just as it did the day it was struck, are the ones that collectors dream of owning. Color also plays a big role. Copper coins are graded by color categories: red, RD, red-brown, RB, and brown, BN. A 1944 wheat penny in bright red condition, meaning it has been perfectly preserved with its original copper glow, is far more desirable and valuable than one that has darkened or toned over time. Another aspect that adds intrigue is the historical context. The 1944 wheat penny represents a transitional moment, the return to copper after the steel experiment of 1943 and the use of recycled wartime materials. Every single one of these coins tells a story of America's industrial strength and unity during World War II. When you hold a 1944 penny in your hand, you're holding a tangible piece of that era, a small but powerful relic of courage, sacrifice, and hope. Collectors around the world seek out these coins not just for their rarity but also for the deep connection they provide to history. Whether you find one in a family heirloom collection, a yard sale, or even in your loose change, it's worth taking a closer look. Check for that silvery shine. You might have the rare steel version. Look for mint marks, doubling, or any unusual features. Even the tiniest difference can mean the difference between a coin worth a few cents and one worth thousands. In fact, some of the most valuable 1944 wheat pennies ever sold at auction were discovered by ordinary people who simply took the time to look closely. That's what makes coin collecting so exciting, the thrill of finding something extraordinary hiding in plain sight. So, if you ever come across a 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, don't just toss it aside. Examine it carefully. Check its color, test it with a magnet, and look for minting errors. You could be holding a coin that's not just a piece of history but a hidden treasure. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the value revelation that makes this coin one of the most famous in the collecting world. If you happen to own a 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, or one of the rare 1944 steel varieties or error coins, you could be looking at a value soaring up to an unbelievable $200,000. Yes, you heard that right, $200,000 for a single 1944 wheat penny. Imagine that, a coin once used to buy a stick of gum or a newspaper could now be worth more than a house. That's the magic of numismatics, where history, rarity, and a bit of luck can transform something ordinary into something truly priceless. So, don't underestimate that little penny sitting in your drawer. Take a good look, Do your research, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next person to uncover a life-changing treasure. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the incredible story of the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest videos about rare and valuable coins from around the world. Every week, we bring you more stories, more secrets, and more surprises from the world of coins.